Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to WrestleLine. I'm your host, John Scott, joined as always by my co-host Matt Essex, and we're back and we're live tonight as well, folks. So, been a while. We've, funny enough, we've literally gone back to our roots here because for the past sort of year or so, or maybe even more than that, we've been using Facebook Messenger, and it's been quite consistent. However, just recently we've gone back to Skype. And it's so far so good. We did a recording with this last week and it worked out very well for our NXT TakeOver retrospective. So hoping for more of the same. And without further ado, let's bring in the co-host now, Matt Essex. And Matt, how are you doing this week for the show?
Yeah, not bad, yeah, and quite an interesting time, I suppose, for the wrestling fans. And what with SummerSlam, just around the corner now, I'm actually I'm hopeful. I mean, I've said this many times, but I'm quite looking forward to this. I feel that there's some interesting results. I'm not too sure which way they're going to go.
Yeah, hopeful being the definitive word there, I feel, for all this. Top of the show, got to mention it. Breaking news today, sad news again. Seems all too familiar with our podcast recently. Another loss, sad loss, the passing that we found out today. Jim the Anvil Neidhart passes away at the age of 63. That just broke earlier this evening in the UK here, and obviously Jim Neidhart, massive part of my childhood growing up for sure. Definitely with the Hart Foundation, the tag team, and of course he had another run as well with WWE after that. And I guess if you watch things like, or you have been watching things like Total Divas and stuff, you would have seen him crop up again, and certainly had a colourful, I would say, run within professional wrestling. Certainly stood out enough as a character. Matt, sad news, obviously, like we said at the start of the show here, but obviously Jim Neidhart to you, Matt. Any sort of early memories of him for you growing up on Jim Neidhart?
Oh yeah, definitely. And when I think about him, his name is totally synonymous with tag team wrestling for me. I know he had a fair amount of singles runs, but come on, that tag team, Hart Foundation, my original kind of go-to tag team, who I actually saw. I mean, I'd like to say I grew up on them, but they were before my time. But I remember watching all the VHS tapes of them and just thinking, the way that they gelled together and the teamwork that they had was just, you rarely find that kind of chemistry in a team. And I was a big fan of that. And of course, the most iconic goatee beard in wrestling, it's got to go down as one for me.
All that, and of course he would marry one of the Hart's daughters as well, Ellie Hart, back then Elizabeth Hart. So that's how he got in, and of course, I was thinking back when I was reading. There was a funny sort of story in Bret Hart's biography that I'd been using quite a bit when we was going through the first parts of his timeline, and there was a bit in it from the first time Bret came across the man himself, Jim Neidhart, and he said he came into his gym, absolutely hench as anything, proper built, come in front of all the boys, like the big I am, got on the bench press, lifted like a crazy amount of weights above his head, and then just slammed them down. And I think he said something like the lines that this bench press is bullshit or something, and walked off back out the room. And that's how it all started. He was just an ongoing character from there. And of course the goatee, very synonymous, as Matt said earlier, always pulling on the beard. That's kind of the memories. But yeah, I mean, he was, I guess, in the Hart Foundation, the group side of it, Matt, 1997, he was kind of like quite a bit of an enforcer for those guys, but he had a decent fair few matches. But much like you, Matt, it's kind of, my memories are always going to be in the tag team with Bret Hart, and it's one of those things, because I guess because Bret Hart went on to do an amazing career that we all know he did, but the tag team sometimes does get left behind. But there's no doubt, Matt, that the Hart Foundation were one of the best teams, if not the best team, back in that time. Because and again, you're talking about a time where tag teams was at the absolute max. We're not talking about how it is today, that's for sure. There were, you had the Bulldogs, you had the Ruggiero brothers, you had the Road Warriors. You had a real who's who of tag team back then, and you had to be pretty decent level, with the Rockers and all the rest of it. And I think the Hart Foundation definitely, and I'm definitely not being just too biased here, but I think it's easy to say, Matt, that they were one of the best tag teams around in that time of a very big tag team division at the time, Matt. Hang on, we lost Matt. Are you there, Matt? Well, I knew it would happen at some point. We came back onto Skype, and Skype has let me down in just under 6 minutes. So we're going to try and get Matt back on. We're going to try and reconnect with him again, try and get him back on the show. So let's see what's going on. Okay, well, coming up on the show after that sad news there, folks, we're going to be talking all things SummerSlam this coming Sunday, in fact. Plus, we're going to dive into the world of sport. Had a lot of feedback again this week from a lot of our listeners about what they think about it, and also how the outside media is thinking about it. Matt, are you back with us here?
Yeah. Good old Sky, as ever.
Traditional, isn't it, really, I suppose? That's the only thing you can say. Well, let's move on, Matt, after that sad news there for Jimmy Anvil Neidhart. And obviously, Matt, we're going into this week. SummerSlam is hitting us. We've also got NXT TakeOver as well this week. So lots of things going on. Obviously, Matt, the news came out I think the back end of last week, that Aleister Black wouldn't be involved, Matt, in TakeOver. A bit of a disappointment, I'm sure, on his part, but obviously they're going to go straight through with the one-on-one match between Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Now, by all accounts, Matt, obviously they would have probably done some long-term planning here. Does this change things, do you think, in terms of their feud going forward? Will things get finished a lot quicker, or are they just going to try and stretch this out a bit further?
I think for me it's more like a more natural build up to I can't find one. It feels like they're fighting for the most now, because the title is now involved, and they didn't even need that to begin with anyway. They were still having great feuds along the way, but now we actually have something to build towards, and I think a lot of fans will be heavily invested in this, because this is the opportunity now for Gargano to actually get his hands on this title, and a lot of people have followed him for a long time now, and I think people want to see him win that, particularly now Ciampa's become like the number one heel probably in the company now. He's got so much hate against that guy, and he's done such a good job of actually turning all those fans against him, because there was a time when he was loved by these fans.
And I said it a few podcasts ago, like, I'm really amazed that if you go on the WWE shop, there is no merch for him, which is crucial. Because again, I know it's an old school mentality, and I know I always go harp on about it, but if you want to be a successful heel, you can't be sending your T-shirts to fans. You just cannot do that. So, he's definitely playing it very, very good there, and sticking to his guns. Hopefully, that continues. Like, I like the idea that he hasn't got music. There's nothing really to latch on there. And of course, if you're a Gargano fan, you're going to want to see this guy succeed, and I think they've been telling a fantastic story. It takes two really to do what they're doing, and I think they're the perfect pair. It's kind of one of those things, Matt, where actually, unlike most feuds, where I kind of wish that they just hurry up and move on. I actually really enjoy seeing these guys. Like, I kind of, in a way, I don't really want to see it end, because I think they seem to always be able to exceed my expectations every time. Now, I know there is going to come a point where it's like, how much can you really get past. But I do think these guys have got the ability to pull out this going forward. If they want to, I think they definitely could stretch this longer. So it will be interesting. Can I leave NXT just there for the moment, Matt? Want to go on there to, of course, SummerSlam and obviously what's been going on, the build up to this. What have you made of the whole Raw and SmackDowns towards the build up to SummerSlam, the running? Because obviously second, biggest show according to WWE at times, although that could be argued with this greatest Royal Rumble that we had earlier in the year. But it's certainly on paper SummerSlam, number 2, I suppose. It's the big summer card. And obviously lots going on before. Has the build-up been decent enough, Matt, to get people's interest, not just wrestling, the normal network guarantee fans, but also just the people that are watching the Raw and SmackDown to go, you know what, I'm going to invest in the network because I want to see SummerSlam this Sunday?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I guess we'll know about the numbers afterwards, but I feel like it is good enough because you have these draws now. I mean, you got so it's not just a throwaway match. That match will actually mean something. They're going to see whether she's going to be made to chase a little bit longer. And then, just like I said before, equal to her is Brock Lesnar as well, isn't it? Because they're both sort of big MMA draws, as well as now being wrestling draws. So, that's got some hype. And, let's not talk too much about Roman Reigns, but, they definitely got people out there who, if they want to see him lose, then that's their business there, because there's a good chance that might happen. I mean, we thought these things at WrestleMania that it'd be his time, and it wasn't. So that's an interesting kind of situation. And of course, it sets up the direction for the way things will go in the future as well, with the Money in the Bank up for grabs. So that's a good thing as well, because we're not actually too sure whether we will see these kind of big time events and not before I get there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing with my point about this whole, SummerSlam this weekend is that, I mean, it's a huge card, 12 matches booked for this. Now, obviously, going to be a couple bumped off, I reckon. I don't know how long the kickoff is this year, but can only imagine that's going to be a crazy amount once that's all told, because no, I mean, I don't know what the actual length of the whole show is going to be. There has been rumours that it could be a total 7 hours, which is far too long, by the way, when it comes down to it. Like, when it comes to a SummerSlam card, you're thinking, 4 hours is definitely long enough. 7, my goodness, that's just crazy. I'm not really looking forward to sitting down for, a good, what is going to be, 7 hours worth of wrestling. I just think it's far too long. I get WrestleMania being that long, but honestly, SummerSlam being that long, I'm not so sure, because sometimes quality over quantity is far the greater of the two. So, Matt, I just want to go quickly dive through some of the matches that we got coming up and give small little predictions as to what we think is going to happen here. We got, of course, Rusev and Lana up against Cien Amos, and obviously Vega's going to be out with him. I mean, this whole mixed tag team match, seen it before. Obviously, we had the mixed tag stuff at the beginning of the last year and whatnot, and we had that rolling in through Facebook. Slight bits of that in this, I guess. Maybe they're thinking, well, that was successful. Let's book something like this on here. Matt, is this a throwaway match, and is this going to be on the SummerSlam card first of all?
I wouldn't say throwaway match. I mean, I like 3 of the competitors in this match quite a lot, so I would say I'm looking forward to it, because if this is going to be at the earlier part of the night, at least it will have a space there and won't get too distracted from the big matches, at least we can actually maybe start the pace slower and then build up. I kind of want to see Almas's like momentum